We are getting to the point in the pre-draft process where I simply don't have the free time to cover all the potential 2025 NFL draft prospects for the Patriots before April 24th. So I'm going to primarily stick to shorter format analysis moving forward. I must do at least one more deep dive on one of my favorite defensive linemen in this draft class, and why I think he should be a great option for New England early on day 2. Today we're digging in on Landon Jackson, a 6'6", 264-pound defensive end for Arkansas. With those measurements, Jackson possesses the ideal length and frame for an NFL defensive end, which is why I believed he was an obvious candidate to replace Deatrich Wise if the Patriots moved on this offseason. In addition, I see him as a solid Barmore insurance if he needs more time or just cannot return to football next year. Well, Deatrich is heading to Washington, and we just don't know what's going on with Barmore. So, Landon's profile is looking more and more like a solid match for New England. Looking at his profile, Landon's size immediately stands out, and he carries that weight very well, leaving room for additional bulk if the team wants to move him to be a heavier player. His versatility is also a major asset, as Arkansas has deployed him across multiple positions, including even nose tackle, defensive end, and even outside and inside linebackers. This adaptability speaks to his football IQ and ability to handle complex defensive schemes. Jackson's combination of size and power and high motor has made it to his production. His pass rush production has shown growth, with increases in win rate and pressure percentages both exceeding 11% for the first time in his career, and has a top 10 run defense grade in the Power 5. Reinforcing his ability to impact the game as a run stopper. He finished the season with 7 sacks, 8 hits, 20 hurries, and 3 batted passes. He also finished with 49 total tackles, with 1 forced fumble and a fumble recovery. So this guy is disrupting, and he just has some basic production of getting the ball carried to the ground, and sometimes jarring it loose. Now looking at his athletic profile, this guy turned heads at the combine, and he produced a RAS score of 9.88, demonstrating a rare combination of, again, size, speed, and explosiveness. I mean, the first day of the combine, this guy was one of the big stories. Big 40.5-inch vert, 10'9" broad, decent speed. He got a 4.68 for his 40. Man, with a 2.7 20-yard split and a 1.69 10. Pretty damn good. Now for his strengths, this guy is a great run defender, as I said, but his length and strength also makes him dynamic. This guy can engage offensive linemen and sets the edge effectively. He plays with good leverage for a taller player, maintains a strong base, uses his hands well to create separation from blockers. He's got articulated joints, so he's very athletic. He's got the power, he's got the quickness, but he can also squirm around in there. Also, good block recognition. He stays disciplined when unblocked and keeps himself in position to make plays. In terms of pass rush, I mean, it's built on active hands and a high motor. He beat Will Campbell by simply just waiting for Will to make a move, swiped his hands away. Nice solid move, and the thing is, he just kept moving, right? Put him under pressure, batted the hands away, clean win. It's very obvious that he understands the importance of hand usage. And like I said, he employs a really good cross chop, good long arm moves to defeat blockers. Additionally, he's very effective with stunts. Good lateral agility to pull those off. He's able to avoid losing ground while using his power to disrupt offensive linemen as the pick player. All positives. Now, on the downside, despite the physical tools, Jackson's movements can sometimes appear to be very stiff and robotic. And his initial burst isn't extremely explosive. Now, that being said, big, tall dude, high hips. He's not going to look very dynamic. But in terms of production, in terms of actually moving around, it really doesn't disrupt his play. It just makes him look that way. Which some people would say, hey, he's less effective as a pure pass rusher because he doesn't have as much bend. But if you do the tracking on his game tape, it just doesn't seem to impact him. And of course, he's going to have a great bull rush for being that long, while obviously functional. But it's not as dominant as you expect for a guy that size. But I would also say it's not something that he heavily relies upon. It helps him set things up So maybe just as a pure, I need to win with a bull rush, I'd say it's not great, but he definitely knows how to work off that bull rush. So he has some concerns, but of all of these concerns, it just might be more of a matter of consistency, because there's a decent amount of reps where some of these concerns are not there. So maybe it's just a matter of consistency. And using BeOne motion analysis, he has hit some elite numbers on his tape that show that he could physically improve, right? So, and I've seen elite pad level and bend because it shows that he does have some elite pad level and bend when it matters. But more on that later. Another thing to point out, some just injury history. Landon suffered a torn ACL back in 2018 and a broken ankle in 2020, which led to him a full ACL repair his freshman year at LSU, which obviously caused him to miss time. However, since transferring to Arkansas, he's remained relatively healthy, minus one neck injury scare, but he became a key contributor on the Razorbacks' defensive front and has been seen as a day 2 and sometimes even a day 1 pick in this upcoming 2025 NFL draft. Now, I would like to take a deeper dive into Jackson's analytics that shows that he has plenty of room for growth, and his profile supports him being a dynamic defensive lineman, rather than just being an edge-setting defensive end. In addition, I will compare his movement metrics to previous elite college edge rushers so you can see how he might project to the NFL. Like my 2 previous videos, we're going to take a look at biomechanical and functional analysis, really taking a deep analysis on his length, his power, his athleticism at the defensive end position, and of course the physical traits, biomechanics that indicate that he has a higher upside that can disrupt both the pass and run game. So all that biomechanics, force generation, and movement efficiency, talking about that. But before we jump into all this, I have to restate that these are derived measurements from game tape and using motion analysis technology. All right, starting off with one of the more interesting ones, actually, for me at least, might be boring to you, but core strength and torque efficiency. Again, these are derived numbers, but based upon how he plays, this guy has elite rotational force in the upper body. He cranks power out. In fact, in order for him to do that, he probably has to have a squat well above 500 pounds. And that core stability allows him to sustain torque without losing balance, critical for stacking up blockers and disengaging efficiently. So again, this is another situation where we're seeing some of the numbers actually match up with where his strengths and the tape. His ability to absorb and redirect force makes him highly effective in power moves, such as the bull rush and his long arm techniques. So he's got the technique, he's got the build, he's got the strength. Another thing, explosive ground force transfer. So in contact power. So not only is this guy power moving himself around, but he puts power in the ground and it makes his way into his opponent, easily creating over 1,100 kilograms meters per second peak momentum at full speed. Huge triple extension, so hip, knees, and ankles. That guy is producing a lot of power. How do we know this? Well, he had a 40.5-inch vert. This guy has the ability to generate maximum force in a minimal amount of time, which translate into elite strike power, which will disrupt offensive tackles, get them off balance at the point of attack. Next, acceleration and short area burst. That 10-yard split, which, 165. One of the ones I had was a 161 on the game tape. Obviously, it's going to contribute to that first step explosiveness, which is obviously going to allow him to close into the quarterback quickly and put the offensive tackle under pressure. But he's still able to do it while maintaining balance and engagement control. So he might be going fast, but he's not out of control. That initial burst will enable him to win leverage battles early, dictating engagements rather than reacting. Obviously, this is a major trait of your elite edge rushers, and it's really going to help with those speed to power moves. Now, punch force metrics and strike timing, interesting one. Now, I couldn't find any really great tape that we can derive any data from, but it's like 2,000 newtons. This guy can really hammer it. Good timing, good extension efficiency. I mean, he makes contact early and he controls the rep. It's one of the best things about him is that regardless of what he's doing, he's basically always in control. And it also obviously helps with hand combat. This guy has quick hand combat, which enables him to defeat the initial contact from the offensive lineman and maintain control of the pass rushing rep. Interesting thing off the snap, again, being a tall guy, pad level can be a problem, but hey, motion analysis says this guy averages around 45 degrees at the snap, which is optimal. So being tall, yeah, he looks tall, but he's still maintaining 45 degrees, which is solid. That stance and positioning allows him to maintain maximum force projection while maintaining balance. So he's going to get efficient acceleration, which is obviously crucial for winning pass rushing reps early in the play. In fact, the whole pad level issue is actually not that bad. His pad level efficiency compared to his frame, a low to high conversion, is roughly 80% effective. So again, being that 6'6", 6'7", leverage is going to be a challenge, but for a dude his size, his ability to keep his hips and knees flex allows him to maintain effective pad level. So tall guys, yeah, they usually end up being tall because it's not comfortable. They don't have the right leverage. The muscle insertions and all the different lengths of the body and all different parts of the body just don't typically work so well. They don't like staying low. Well, this guy's strong enough and functional enough to keep that low center of gravity, which will enable him to generate more force without losing the balance. Which is another thing that will make him more effective in both the pass rush and the run defense. Now, looking at his size, some of the testing that we got, some of these things like his hip explosiveness, just that lower body power, the anchoring that he's had to go against other offensive linemen, and how much power we know that they can put out. I mean, I could see this guy. He probably easily cleans 320. I wouldn't be surprised if it's over 350 easily, actually. Squats probably, I got it to the 550s, something I wouldn't be surprised, again, if it's over 600 pounds. Same thing with the deadlift. Elite numbers. The guy's an absolute animal. Now, not GPS drive, but from game tape, estimated to be 19.5 to be 20.5 miles per hour. If you watch this 40, that guy can move. Just shows his level of athlete we're talking about. And again, that peak momentum, 1,100, 1,200 kilograms meters per second, that's got to be one of the highest amongst defensive ends in this NFL draft. Now, working with his combine on-field position drills tape, we got some nice movement scores and data. Bend efficiency, 70 to 75%. So good, but slightly upright. But that's just basically a percentage of max ankle flexion during the dip. It's pretty good. Again, being a guy that tall, I'll take it. His ankle dorsiflexion's great. We got 40 to 50 degrees. That's classic. Not amazing, but, it's obviously important because it impacts the ability to bend around those tackles. Trunk angle at contact, going against the pads. I mean, the ideal is 45 to 55. He's at 48, so boom, right in the middle right there. Optimum leverage upon engagement, no problem. Another one interesting to look at was scapular traction speed when he's working the bags. Elite. So this guy punches and pulls. He's fine, right? So he's reloading. Allows him also to quickly disengage from blockers when he needs to. So he's holding them up, and when it's time to get off, boom, he's out, snapping right off. He's not hanging around, allowing the offensive tackle to re-engage. So all these metrics tell us that Landon Jackson possesses, again, a rare combination of length, power, and explosiveness. His 10-yard acceleration is going to be solid. He's going to be able to get to the quarterback. There's no limitations there. He's going to have awesome speed to power moves. Hand power and long arm techniques are going to be his go-to, which I know some people are going to be like, that's kind of basic stuff. Well, they're also some of the more consistent ones too, right? So you're looking at a guy that consistently applies pressure, right? He's gonna have some clean wins, but what's nice is the one thing is that he's not going to probably be snuffed out. Some of these guys that might, win a sack here and there, but there's also a lot of reps that they're completely taken out. I don't think there's going to be a rep where Landon Jackson's just going to be completely defeated. But overall, solid, but it does show us he does have a slightly upright rush posture, which obviously is going to affect his bend efficiency. And some of the things is just really about, again, consistency. Now, let's match him up against two prototype edge rushers from last year's class. Guys that you would say are incredibly quick, fast, dynamic, dudes that are designed to rack up sacks. Because this is what I'm talking about. He's a little bit more than just an edge setter. We are stacking up against Dallas Turner and one of my favorite edge rushers in any draft class, Jared Verse. Now, forward trunk angle. Landon is, again, around that 45 to 50 at 48. Dallas Turner is at 40. Jared Verse, 42. Now, smaller guys, probably a little bit more flexible, especially in terms of proportions. Again, Landon being a much more long-limbed, high-hip guy, which is going to make it hard. But considering that, he's not far off. Shin angle, 38. Dallas's was 35. And Jared Verse is 37. So, very good to basically elite. Now, estimate ground reaction forces based upon weight and speed. Landon Jackson, we're looking at 4.2 times body weight. Dallas Turner, 4.5. Same thing with Verse. So, right there, right near elite. Hip extension torque can be calculated to be around 700 Newton meters. Dallas and Jared Verse are going to be around 720 to 750. So not too much of a difference between them. A little bit less for Landon. Best peak rate of force development, I'm looking at nearly 5,000 newtons per second, where Dallas Turner and Jared Verse are around 52. So again, not as much, but pretty damn close. Stride frequency, looking at about 4.5 steps per second. Dallas Turner, 4.7, and Jared Verse, 4.5. So Dallas a little bit faster feet, but Landon and Jared both have elite stride frequencies. But Landon and Jared appear to be about the same, but again, near elite stride frequencies. Stride lengths, yards per stride, let's see, 2.4 for Landon, 2.3 for Dallas, Jared at 2.4. So Landon and Jared, again, being pretty close. Dallas a little bit less. Let's see. Momentum generation at 10 yards. Highest number I got, 920 kilograms meters per second. With Turner, 850, and Jared Verse at 880. So Landon taking the lead there. So overall, in that one, Turner will be probably better at converting speed to power. But Jackson, more momentum, big mass, awesome for his pad level, just dominant contact force. Verse just being probably more of the well-balanced version of those two. Better with max velocity efficiency. I would say probably just a little bit of outpacing Jackson in speed to power there. Next one, interesting how close they are. Edge bending and cornering efficiencies. So trunk angle at the bend, shin angle during bend, inside knee angles, ankle dorsiflexion at tightest arc, rotational core torque, ground force absorption and turn. I'm not going to go through all the numbers here, but all the numbers stack up that Landon Jackson is basically right on par with Jared Verse and is basically one step below Dallas Turner. But that being said, Dallas Turner coming out for the draft was... I couldn't think of anybody who was better at being a bend rusher than him. I mean, the guy's got extremely low shin angles, superior ankle dorsiflexion, and he's not built like Jackson. I mean, Jackson still has solid bend. It's just that frame is not going to allow him to have the same flexibility and that lean efficiency. Again, being more of a long arm power rusher, but he's not stuck there. He's got good but not elite bend, but that's okay. He's got the hand counters, he's got the power to rely upon than just the pure flexibility that Dallas tends to have to work upon. Again, my point is that Dallas Turner being really that big, bendy, explosive rusher, that dynamic edge rusher, it's not like Jackson's a stiff. Now, hand power, strike efficiency, you're looking at peak hand speed. Jackson, I think his best was right around 10. Verse had everybody beat by going 10.2. Dallas Turner was like 9 and 5. Strike force way through the roof. 20, like I said, 2,000 newtons there. Jared Verse was just on par with Landon Jackson. Dallas Turner only around 1,700. So Verse, again, decent hand speed. He's able to disrupt the guys early. But Verse being much more of raw hand power, he can really get up on an offensive tackle. And then Jackson, obviously, is just that length, extension, and pure power with decent hand speed, though, too. So kind of bringing in for like a final verdict there. I mean, best first step's probably going to be Turner. Best speed to power is going to be either Verse or Landon. Bender's going to be Turner. Hand usage going to be between Verse and Landon. So Jackson's pretty close to Verse, but Turner beats them in different categories. Jackson definitely takes the lead with momentum-based power rushing. That's just 100%. It's not, but I also would like to point out that Landon's not exactly really far away from those other guys at their peak, at their strengths. So, although again, Landon's probably seen because he's so tall, he's got those long arms, that there's no way he's that athletic. but the numbers say he's not that far off. That will allow him to do just about anything you want him to do on the edge. He's got really good leverage and control. He's got arm length to strength ratios 1.31. Pretty good with a rip move, swim move, execution timings 0.21 seconds. That's, I think, one of the fastest among the edge rushers that I've done this year in the draft. And for a guy that size, he's under control too. He's not flopping all over the place. I mean, in fact, his lower limb symmetry index is 98.5. So balanced force output between his left and right legs. Guy's got a massive tackle radius, effective tackle radius of nearly 7 feet, 6 inches 11. So if you're in his area, good luck. And then in pursuit, he's going to get you. If you want somebody, how about this? If you want somebody to take down Josh Allen, Landon Jackson's your dude. Because he's fast and he's he's got the reach and the strength and the power to bring him down. You want the kryptonite to Josh Allen, Landon Jackson's your dude. And that's why I think he could be a perfect fit for the Patriots. Even back in August before the season even started, I discussed how the Patriots were kind of in desperate need for edge talent. And, it didn't take long. I think by the end of the Seattle game, I'm like, this is what we need. We were just not getting to the quarterback. And that's why I think Landon fits exactly what they're missing, really. Now, one would say you probably need more of a speedy edge, dynamic edge rusher. I'll say yes to that. I'm not really sure with Terrell Williams coming in. I think we're going to really look to put pressure on the pocket. And when you have Keon and, say, Landon on opposite sides, because maybe Keon's moving on inside. Again, we don't know what's going on with Barmore. Maybe Keon's working one side or Landon's going to be moved to the inside a little bit. But just having that really long arm disruptor to work both in and outside, going to be huge. And again, this guy has the elite biomechanics, explosive athleticism, high-level processing speed on his tape. The guy definitely has high football IQ. He's got the moves, too. And it's that run-stopping power that, again, let's go back to last year, which was, again, first half of the season. It was brutal to watch the run defense after losing Bentley. So, again, versatility. He's helping you patch up on, both the pass rush and the run. And again, the guy's super athletic. There's nothing he can't do. I mean, his peak ground contact time, 0.088 seconds. So for a guy that size, just to be running on hot coals, impressive. Really fast stride frequency. Mobility is also another thing. Like, again, we're talking about flexibility. Hip to abduction range, the max I got was 72.4. Dorsiflexion, I think, averaged around 34, but we got up a little bit higher in that at the combine. Knee flexion angle in a game as plant was 62.8. Knee to ankle alignment deviation is less than 2%. So that whole is his knee going to hold up? I think he's done enough strength and conditioning and rehab. I didn't see anything that would say, hey, this guy's a walking injury again. Definitely has control of his body. Center of mass body control efficiency is 93.8. Core stability scored. So, again, watching how his upper body and lower body stay together, 94.5. Postural control score, 96.2. So, even when he's fighting against people, he's not getting twisted and bent. Guy holds his ground. He's super strong all the way from head to toe. But, again, overall athletic profile, first step quickness is almost 10% better than the average NFL edge rusher. Hand power is 11.7 above. Lateral agility, nearly 7% better. Reaction time, on average, was about 9% better. And his pass rush win rate is around 12.6% better than the NFL edge rusher. Actually, 81% of key performance categories is better than the average NFL edge rusher. All right, you got that? I mean, I can't believe this. This is what's happening is you have this deep edge class, and all of a sudden we're looking at Landon Jackson, which some years might be one of your top edge rushers, especially if you're looking for a big, tall D end that can work both against the run and pass, right? I mean, this guy, he's one of the few guys in this edge class that really can do all of it. I know that getting to the quarterback and picking up the sacks, you're going to get those Mike Green guys that everybody's going to want. But if you're looking for a guy who's out there every down, the whole game, it doesn't matter, this is your guy. And he's got some decent moves. Like, his hand fighting's great. Again, bull rush dude. I mean, I think the power output on that's going to be well above 7,000 newtons. His speed of contact doing a bull rush is got 8.4 meters per second. That's pretty fast. He's got good leverage maintenance. And the center of gravity drop right before contact is 4.2 inches. So he's coming right at you, drops, gets right up under you, triple extension. Basically, if you can at least try to absorb it, you might have a fighting chance. But again, I noticed that Landon, one thing is he uses the bull rush, but it's the second move. I mean, the guy, his bull rush isn't like the most dominant, but it's the fact that he's not stuck on it, right? You know, he's not like overly committed to bull rushing. And his swim move efficiency, that's good too. That's a really nice one. Not that I saw that a lot, but I mean, the execution time on it was 0.21 seconds. That's fast. Arm speed with that one was 8.9. So really ripping through. Rotation speed was 6.3 radians per second. So he's getting right over you. On the rip, keeps the lower body going. Lower body drive efficiency post rip was 93.4. So he's ripping through, but you barely are slowing him down, even if you try to. Really accuracy, arm positioning on that, right under the offensive line arm. Never missed that. Rip move and the execution time on that was 0.17 seconds. Spin move in the game was decent, but when you do the combine, his rotation speed was 8.1 radians per second, and spin move and time to finishing point was 0.31 seconds. So again, being this big, tall dude, he's got the great footwork, he's got the twitch, and he can rotate, he's got the torque going. It's like a full package. Like, the guy really has everything you need. Long arm moves, strike timing on that was 0.11 seconds, and the conversion to power rush efficiency was 94.1. So when he pulls off the move, he doesn't get stuck, he doesn't get hung up with the offensive lineman. He's going to finish it out. It's not just like he's sitting there trying to hold a position. He actually has a game plan, and he gets through on it. Ghost move, I know a lot of people want to talk about ghost moves and the bend. It's there. Best thing is, like, when he pulls it off, or what I would believe is him trying to pull off a ghost move, the upper body disengagement time is 0.13 seconds. And then again, going back to the edge bending angle, I mean, the tightest path to the QB I had was 41.8, and max speed retention during that bend was 92.6. Now again, for a guy that size, that's impressive. You bend at 41.8 and you get 92.6 efficiency, 92.6 speed retention. That's scary. Fastest hand fighting and counter moves. His hand strike speed, I think the highest we got was 9.2 meters per second. And the strike contact time was blazing. 0.032 seconds. That was the fastest we got. So, we're talking like not really near Bruce Lee speeds, but for a guy that size, I mean, guy probably should have been a boxer. Now, what does this probably mean with all these moves and how good are they? Well, for the bull rush and the long arm strength, I mean, anybody who's a weaker set tackle, he's going to collapse the pocket. So, again, even if he's not getting the quarterback, that pocket's being pressured. You're going to squeeze him out. You're going to speed up the quarterback. Any of the rip or swim moves, those are actually pretty high percentage moves for him. So, he can use those against quick setting linemen. Anybody that does want to beat him, he has moves to get through them, and they'll like spin and ghost moves, a little bit more added versatility, although he doesn't throw them out there that often. But what's great is if he's putting the pressure on the guy and you're going to have over-aggressive blockers, he's going to beat him. And again, if you're going against some guy who's a weaker set tackle who's going to have to overcommit, that spin and ghost move, he's going to get you. And to go to things like the hand speed, counter move efficiencies, it's going to allow him to be very effective against double teams, right? Because he's going to be able to hit, disengage, take these guys kind of one-on-one, or at least get in between them. So that allows him to, again, hold his own on the edge if he needs to. He at least has one tool to take out of the toolbox, regardless of the strength of the lineman. And if he's working inside and there's going to be double teams, he can be effective. And again, he's taken a decent amount of snaps at multiple positions. 0 technique, 3 technique, 5 outside linebacker, inside linebacker, working both on the left and right side. This guy does it all. And I think that really matters for the Patriots, who, need to commit a lot to offense right now in the draft. So if you can get a guy that can be a little D-tackle, can be a little bit of a pass rusher, can be a little bit of an edge setter, right? That versatility will allow him to line up anywhere, regardless if it's a 3-4 or 4-3 or whatever they want to do, some sort of hybrid situation. He's got pass rush win rates. I mean, a guy coming off his career high in almost every one of his categories. And it doesn't take him out of the category of being able to be a Rio, like a Y9 edge outside, or a right outside linebacker if needed, a right edge. If he needs to be a Leo, so a hybrid edge rusher / end. Any sort of defensive tackle position, the guy's done it. Stand up, hand in the dirt, doesn't matter. He's logged reps at defensive tackle, linebacker alignments. The guy is disruptive from multiple spots. Now, of course, if you've been following my analysis, you would know Abdul Carter was my guy for the Patriots officially back April 7th of 2024. When the first reports came out that Carter was switching to edge. Now, of course, we kind of think that's probably not going to happen this year. So again, the Patriots should be looking for someone who has that level of versatility and also some game-wrecking upside. Although Jackson has that pop as an edge rusher, I think his best fit might be in a scheme that allows him to play multiple roles along the defensive front. Again, utilizing his length, his power to disrupt both the run and the pass at multiple alignments, which is kind of what I wanted for Abdul. That would be, like for Abdul, which was more of like a linebacker / edge situation, where in this case, it would be more of a DN / D tackle flex for Landon to work in with possibly Keon or Milton or Landry. Now that he has Shazam in-house, and maybe hopefully Barmore comes back. I also wouldn't count out Titus Leto or Truman Jones. Both of those guys actually bring their own type of skill set to the edge. But if Landon can refine his pass rush technique a little bit more, improve his ability to bend around the edge, and develop more explosiveness off the snap, maybe he is that high-end pass rusher that you want. And in fact, and like I said before, even if you wanted to maybe even just move him in on D-tackle if you had to. I mean, the guy could probably put on a little bit more weight. It's not like a complete blank canvas situation here, because I like the versatility of him. But if you needed to push him in one direction or the other, I don't think you're going to be running into any sort of resistance with this guy's genes. Now, the big question is where you're actually going to target him. Now, I think he'd have to be 38, but I don't really know what's going to actually happen. The whole problem with offensive tackles, guard, now a question at center, wide receiver. They do still need to add a few things here on the defensive side of the ball. And I don't think they can afford to go get somebody who is a D-tackle or get an edge guy separately. Maybe the fact you could just get Landon, kind of check 2 boxes at once. Not entirely. Maybe with a light pencil. Maybe with a really light graphite pencil, you're checking 2 boxes. But from my perspective, I mean, we got to be going in there with the big oversized chisel Sharpie at the offensive line and some wide receiver help. So maybe getting Jackson as your, maybe lone defensive pick in the first 2 days of the draft is probably not a bad idea. So maybe is the pick at 38? Not really sure. Guess it kind of really depends on how the draft board develops and if there's any way you can trade and secure him. Anyway, what do you guys think of Landon? Do you think the Patriots should go after him? If so, when? Let me know in the comment section below. If you guys like this content, please like and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.